Delayed gratification, spiritually speaking. Hi, I'm Ann Wiggins. Welcome to Bible Study Hub. We will finally finish up John chapter 11 today. It's been a while, but it's been a fascinating and fabulous chapter to study together. So I will be reading from the Legacy Standard Bible, and today we will be doing chapter 11, verses 54 to 57, and we're just going to take the whole chunk. I'm not going to split it up like I normally do. We like to keep it mixed up around here. Why not? So you can follow along in your own Bible, or you can just read off of the screen. Here we go. John 11, 54 to 57. Therefore, Jesus no longer continued to walk openly among the Jews because they were trying to kill him, but went away from there to the region near the wilderness into a city called Ephraim, and there he stayed with the disciples. By the way, this is, we think, up north 20 miles or so. We're not totally sure where this place is, but we think that's where it was. Now, the Passover of the Jews was near, and many went up to Jerusalem from the region before the Passover to purify themselves. So they were seeking, this is the religious leaders, were seeking Jesus and were saying to one another as they stood in the temple, "What do you think? That he will not come to the feast at all?" They're like, "What's your best guess? Do you think he'll show up?" They're looking for him. Now, the chief priests and the Pharisees had given orders that if anyone knew where he was to report it so that they might seize him. We ended last study yesterday by highlighting how the religious leaders, their one goal is to get Jesus and kill him. And by the way, this is the Sadducees and the Pharisees. They typically did not get along. They did not like each other. They were very different and they just weren't friends. However, the little saying, "the enemy of my enemy is my friend," would apply here. And so what you have is these two groups that usually did not get along coming together in such harmony over the cause of trying to seize Jesus so that they could kill him in some way. Pretty sad. Well, Jesus is on a precise timeline here. He knows the day he will be crucified. He knows the hour it will happen, and everything has to coordinate so that it goes off without a hitch. So even though the people doing these things are under the umbrella of satanic activity, God is still sovereign over all of it, and nothing happens by accident and nothing happens out of his purview. So what I want to talk about today is spiritual delayed gratification. You know what delayed gratification is, right? It's when we really want something, but we're willing to put it on hold because we know if we do, it will be better in some way later on. Maybe there's something you really want to buy, but you know if you buy it now, you can't pay off your credit card at the end of the month. And you really feel like that's good stewardship to pay off your credit card. And so you'll say, "I will wait until I save up the money. And once I have the cash, then I will buy it." That would be a good example of delayed gratification. But have you ever thought about delayed gratification in a spiritual sense? Well, after this miracle that Jesus has just performed, the crowning event of his miracles outside of his own resurrection, he just raised Lazarus from the dead. He'd been dead 4 days. This is an incredible miracle. Can you imagine the celebration? Did the mourners get paid, the professional mourners, or did they just get dismissed? "Sorry, we weren't able to complete." They probably gave him some money and said, "You can go. We don't need you anymore. Lazarus is alive." And instead of getting to stay and celebrate and have fun with his friends and party, Jesus has to leave. He doesn't get any of the fun stuff. In fact, the disciples go with him and they miss out on all the fun as well. That's not fair. You know, we often say life isn't fair, and we all go, yeah, I know. But when you're going through something unfair, it is easy to sometimes look to God and say, "God, that's not fair. Why would you let that happen?" And here's the thing: God isn't fair, but he is just. These are not the same thing. For God to be fair, everything would have to drop to the lowest possible common denominator. Fair would be every single person who's ever lived goes straight to hell when they die. That would be fair because we've all sinned. But he's not fair, he's just. And so, as we said yesterday, so that that would not have to be the case, he substituted his son Jesus for the wrath of God that should fall on us. Jesus took it on our behalf. That is holy justice. Jesus could have gotten the glory after Lazarus's resurrection. He could have said, that's it. That's the pinnacle. That's as far as I want to go. I'm loving life now. Everybody is happy with me here. We're having a great time. But he puts that on the back shelf and says, no, there's a better glory that I'm going to get for myself, and that is my resurrection. And so instead of shortcutting the plan of God, he leans fully into it, even though it costs him now. He will reap the rewards of this in spades pretty soon. What about you? Have you ever had to have that spiritual delayed gratification? Maybe you serve in some capacity and it just feels hard and you're tired and it's getting kind of old and nobody seems to really notice or appreciate. Oh, at the beginning, you got lots of accolades, but now they just expect you're going to show up at 6 on Sunday and get all of the... My cat just got her food. As I was saying, maybe you are just expected to show up at 6 on Sundays and get all the food out for the congregation, or you've been setting up the communion trays for decades and everybody just expects you to do it and nobody says thank you or even notices anymore. And it can feel after a while kind of like, oh, I'm just kind of tired. I'd like to do something a little more flashy. I'd like to get a little bit more accolades. I'd like to do something a little bit more out in front. But can you be faithful and wait for that delayed gratification? I don't know if you have ever thought of this, but we who know Christ will spend eternity worshiping and praising him for what he has done for us. I always say for myself, eternity is not long enough to thank Jesus for what he has done for me. It's not long enough. I can't wait to spend forever praising and worshiping him. That's delayed spiritual gratification. Jesus could have shortcut it and gotten all the accolades right now, but he put that aside. He retreats to a place where he's not being sought after to be killed at this moment because it's not time yet. And he will lay down his life at the appropriate moment and then the glory of his own resurrection. So don't give up. Don't get tired. Ask Jesus to give you the strength, but keep eternity in mind. Keep the end in mind and be willing to say, I will do the hard stuff now for the glory of the Lord Jesus, which is to come. I hope that gives you some encouragement through your day. Thank you so much for being with us on Bible Study Hub. Our videos go live every Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern Time on Facebook and YouTube, Bible Study Hub. Thanks again. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you, Lord willing, tomorrow.